I am 11 lines deep and I haven't slept since Saturday, but holy shit, this manga is absolutely phenomenal. Journey Home After School is another example of why we're currently in the golden age of manga storytelling. Authored by the talented Mai Matsuda, we follow two students, silly, bright-eyed Naoki Sato and stoic, reserved Shun Sato, no relation. Naoki, nicknamed Chalky-chan, is the leader of the Hyper Go Home Club, an after-school gathering of only her and Shun. The club's sole goal is to have fun going home, finding the romance in everything around them. This premise seems very simple and familiar to many other high school slice-of-life manga, except it's so much more than a typical SOL. In 30 chapters, Journey Home has showcased the immense talent of Matsuda's pen and introduced the world to two of the finest, emotionally complex characters that the medium has seen in years. This manga will make you laugh out loud, aspire for a great future, yearn for broken dreams from the past, and desire a hug from the one you love the most. In some ways, you could call Journey Home a slice of life, but to me, it reads so much more than that. While it starts off episodic in nature, a story arc begins within the first volume, and we see the relationship between the two start to grow at an outstanding pace. First, let's get this out of the way. This manga is a manuscript for the inevitable anime adaptation. It reads very similar to other media that take this approach, like Jujutsu Kaisen or Apothecary Diaries. Each chapter is deliberate in its delivery, as it should be. The reader is hit over the head with a sledgehammer coated with koi and keenness. There is so much going on, but it never feels convoluted. The main leads having the same last name is uber demure, lol. We don't see cutesy naming conventions in romantic subtext manga often, so this was a simple yet nice surprise for me. This duo really does have a great friendship that's blossoming into something more. Shun's jealousy is apparent when Chalky hangs with other guys, and you see hints of his personality when he's yapping to himself or inanimate objects that can't judge him for who he really is. Chalky exhibits an awareness of what is developing between her and Shun, and establishes subtle boundaries, like inviting him over to her home, but not going in her room, and grasping at his arm when exasperated. Naoki is much smarter than she lets on, and her feminine aura radiates throughout each chapter, even if she's the most emotionally dynamic, abrasive of the two. How Matsuda is able to write such fleshed out characters so early into this manga is a wonder. What also immediately stands out with this series is how dense it is. I simp for wordy manga. There's been a few recent examples of great series with a lot of text, like Hope You're Happy Lemon or Witch Watch. They provide so much more content in such few pages. Journey Home is very similar to these manga. It's a tour de force of witty banter and quippy dialogue, Whedon-esque at times. While the supporting cast is definitely underdeveloped, there are reoccurring characters that show up whenever it's convenient for the plot. They don't feel like tropes or tools to help strengthen the bond of the leads. These characters have a life and interest of their own, and you'll smile whenever a familiar teacher or adjacent club member makes a reappearance. What stands out the most about the writing of this series is that while it is a rom-com, it often stretches out as a means to build up the world around our main cast. There are chapters dedicated to Shun learning to accept his new physical limitations after a soccer injury, and pivoting his career trajectory as a means to still stay involved with the sport. Okakun's zany love for the occult, age gaps between siblings and how they dote on their juniors, teachers going out of their way to help students outside of curriculum. Again, so much density. You'll never feel bored reading an installment. Matsuda's art style is quite peculiar. It isn't anything unique. The character design is cute, somewhat CalArts in aesthetic, but every page is so detailed. There is rarely an empty panel, and even most close-up panels of characters have some sort of detail in the background. Kinetic energy is woven throughout this series in spades. Chapter 14 has an innocent yet intimate page where Sato and Sato are hiding from their teacher behind a desk. Notice the subtle changes in their posture as Chalky holds onto Shun's injured knee. Shun pulls his leg up towards Chalky's body and stares down knowingly into her eyes. How he holds her head down as a means of protection and comfort. They embrace each other's shoulders. Pure fucking Kino. In chapter 15, Naoki is listening to an old cassette tape from 1997, and to see her blissfully daydream and immerse herself in this simple conversation was so beautiful. It reminded me of romance manga from that era, a deliberate Easter egg that us older otaku would appreciate. Matsuda is a student of manga, appreciator of comics, bleeder of romance, and master of storytelling. Naoki is one of the top best girls of this year. Everything about her screams otaku bait, but for all the right reasons. Shun, on the other hand, is striking in how he's been displaying his emotional vulnerability slowly but surely as he grows closer to his paramour. Journey Home is a wildly intimate manga without sexualizing these characters in the slightest. I wish more series had moments like what's shown here. Chapter 17 has Shun embracing Chalky for a hug after he comes to tears, realizing that his injury has stunted his career in professional soccer. He draws her close and buries himself into her chest. Chalky can only look down towards him in silence and blush, an emotionality that wasn't shown prior to this moment. From this point on, Shun feels much more comfortable around Chalky, speaking his mind more often, even changing in front of her. Chapter 22 has a scene where they hold hands, for warmth, inside Shun's jacket, and even this scene plays out extra spicy, but cute and endearing at the same time. Journey Home from School was not only a standout of 2023, but it's head and shoulders above its peers of 2024. After 1 year of publication, I can confidently say that this is easily amongst the best slice of life series that I've ever read. Each chapter, Sato and Sato bring a youthful energy that makes me wish I had half as much fun during high school. Please, do yourself a favor. Set aside a day or two and get caught up with this ongoing. Whether you're a fan of manga, want to get a glimpse of what the popular anime of the next few years will be, or are looking for a light-hearted romance that's not too sweet, but always on beat, you owe it to yourself to read Journey Home after school. This is the best slice of life manga of the year. 8 out of 10.